time we talked about appointment setting and closing, okay? And then if we have some time, we'll come back and we'll do some objections. Anybody have questions on the last boot camp we did on appointment setting and closing? Do ask, and we'll go through some other stuff with you.
Doesn't count if you didn't count.
Right, well, so you're coming in on the second half, but my intention is in the new year is to potentially do these a little bit more regularly, just so we can get new people up to speed. So obviously it's the holidays, right? It's New Year's Eve, but generally we can get a pretty good crowd of people and get them pretty good pretty quickly this way. So that's something I'm looking into. As long as people want to come and learn, I'm willing to teach them. But today we'll go through the presentations. We're going to role play again. Most of the time we'll be role playing with somebody, because it's one thing to learn it, it's another to learn it by doing it, right? And that's really where the magic's going to happen, is your ability to sit down and be able to do these presentations exactly with somebody without a trainer, right? Ultimately, that's what you want to be doing, so you can get results without a trainer, and then be able to take your people and get results for them. That's the duplication part of our business. Most people will never get good enough at the very basics to ever get out there on their own and do stuff without a trainer. So that's like the first hurdle, is let's practice enough to get good enough to get results on our own, and then let's be good enough to understand what we're doing that we can get results for other people. If you can do those two things, you're gonna do well. You're gonna make a lot of money doing this, right? Okay, if you can't do those two things, you're always at the mercy of having somebody with you that can help you, right? Everybody follow that? So just a recap on making sure we're all on the same page. Number one, we went over this last time. If they are 3 stars or more, and one of those is married or children, we're setting what? A kitchen table appointment. Even if you want to recruit them, we're still setting a kitchen table appointment, okay? Well, I really want them on my team. Wonderful, set a kitchen table appointment, because on the kitchen table appointment, there's what? There's a recruiting hit in there, right? So you can recruit these people, but if you set up recruiting appointments of people that are married and their spouses aren't there, very rarely are they ever gonna move forward, right? They're very rarely ever gonna move forward. So you wanna make sure that you're setting that, go ahead.
So what if they come to you and they want to be recruited, but you find out later down the road that they are married, they have kids, do you set it as a KT?
If you can.
Okay, so you would do that.
Absolutely, right? Because again, even if they want to be recruited, listen, if they have a job, they're told what to do all day. They've been told what to do all day for 20, 30 years, however long, right? Okay, so even though they want to do it, they're not going to make a choice to do it without the other person.
Yeah.
So it's best to just get there. Plus, then you can do their life app too at the same time, instead of having 2 or 3 visits to get done the same thing. You just go right to the...
So how would you approach that? What do you say on the phone?
Yeah, so if they came to me and said, hey, I'm interested in joining your business, I'd say, Val, great. I'm really excited about that. We can get together and talk, but I'd like for Michael to be there too, because he might have some questions.
Yeah.
And so it's really best if we're all together. So as far as me popping by to see you both, when's a good day?
Okay.
Yeah, so I just bring them in, right, with the phone conversation. So if they're 3 or more and one of them is married with kids, we're always setting a kitchen table appointment, client first, recruiting on the back end, right? If they're 3 stars or less and one of the 3 is not married with kids, we're setting a what? A recruiting appointment, right? And we can offer them our services on the back end, but this is how we delineate that. It's gonna save you and your people a ton of issues, right? Especially when you start training people, because your people are not gonna follow this rule, and you're gonna end up on one-legged KTs and all sorts of stuff all the time. So you need to make sure that you do this, you teach this to your people, right? Everybody following that? Just a refresher then, on the kitchen table script, right? So I'm calling Doug, and I'm just following the script exactly. We sent out the scripts, right? The scripts are on GroupMe. We've got a 3-minute version of the scripts, and then a 25-minute version with all the background information. But the script is, Doug, hey, listen, the reason I'm calling, I'm not sure if I mentioned to you or not, but I actually got my finance licenses. Listen, buddy, I just want to set a time to pop by and show you and Dina what I'm doing. And if you or somebody you guys know in the future could use what I do, I would love for you to know enough that you feel comfortable referring me. So listen, as far as us getting together, what's better, weekends, weekdays? Okay, so remember, slow down, low tone of voice, right? There's a percentage of the people that will distrust you if you're talking fast to them. Their personality type just does not respond well to people with a rapid rate of speech. Okay, you're gonna lose people right off the bat. Slow and low, right? Like good barbecue, slow and low, right? Okay, that's what you're doing on your script. Okay, the better you get at that script, the less objections you're going to get to setting that appointment. It's gonna generally be like, fine, yeah, I guess a weekend would definitely be better, right? Okay, so the less you're gonna have resistance-wise. The further off you are from the script, the more numerous and the more wide-ranging the objections are gonna be that you're gonna get, right? Okay, so remember, the script is basically the intro, right? Which is, hey, Doug, what's happening, buddy? How's life? How's the family? Right? So like mini form, right? So intro, linker. Hey, listen, Val, the reason I'm calling, okay? And that allows it to not be bizarre. The reason I'm calling, right? Otherwise, you're like, hey, man, how's your kids? How's your dog? How was 7th grade? You're running out of things to say to them. And then there's awkward pause, and they immediately distrust. The wall comes up. Why is this person asking me all these things? Why? Hey, Andrew, listen, the reason I'm calling, I don't know if I mentioned this to you or not, but I actually got my finance licenses. And listen, I just want to set a time, right? So the linker is, the reason I'm calling, the body. You know, I recently got my finance license. I've just got my finance license. If they're brand new, I'm working on getting my finance licensing, okay? It's one little phrase. It's got to be true for you. If you've been here for 5 years, you can't say, I just got my finance, right? I don't know if you knew this or not, but I actually have my finance licenses, right? See, little phrases. We never say anything to somebody that's untrue, right? Our business is built on trust. If you say anything that is not true to somebody, it's gonna harm you later on, because you're asking people to give up time with their families, to give up time on things they care about. You're asking them eventually to walk away from jobs, right, to be able to do this full time. They need to trust you. If you sow seeds of distrust with them early on, you're gonna reap a harvest of distrust later on. You understand? So it's so important. You always tell people exactly the right thing. That doesn't mean you don't make mistakes, or sometimes you don't know, but we never say stuff to people on the phone that is in any way deceptive to them whatsoever, right? You understand that? Because you're just gonna screw yourself long range. You don't need to do that. Our opportunity is good enough to stand on its own 2 feet. We don't ever need to embellish it or do anything that would be untrue with people, right? Okay? But what I'm saying there is you've got to make that phrasing true for you. I'm working on my licensing. I just got my finance licenses. I have my finance licenses, right? That's the body. The close is, so as far as us getting together, Val, what's better for you, weekends or weekdays?
Weekend.
Right? Okay, in about 1 day, you can go back to weekends or weekdays from this day or this day, right? Because you're going to be through the holidays, okay? And then the post close. So Val, we said Saturday at 2, right?
Yep.
Do me a favor, can you write that down? Okay, great. Listen, unless you ride die between now and Saturday at 2, I'll see you then. And I just give them a little subconscious, don't reschedule on me. Most people will receive that at a subconscious level and won't reschedule, right? A problem that a lot of you have is you soft close, right? So you get it and then you're like, Shane, listen, if anything comes up, let me know. Well, guess what you just did? You invited a reschedule, right? Now the leaf fell on their tree that they've been watching for 2 weeks, wondering when it's going to fall, and they're going to reschedule for 2019, right? Okay, so you've got to make sure that you don't invite reschedules. You don't invite reschedules. You don't plant objections, right? Okay, we heard yesterday in our Madman group, right? Somebody that was kind of inviting a reschedule, right? Or saying, I don't think this would be for you necessarily, and they were inviting an objection. And so we don't ever want to do that. We want to follow the script exactly, right? So that's the kitchen table script, okay? So, where'd my eraser go? Did I not bring one?
Hey, Brock.
Yo.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
To try to deal with, like, you're trying to, like, at the end of the post close, and you say, I'll put you in my calendar, please put you
Speak louder so they can all hear you.
I'm gonna put you in my calendar for X day, X time. Please put me in yours. Have that written down. You know, ask him that, and then you say.
I don't ask him to please put me in. I say, so I've got you for 12 noon. Did you write that down, Mike? I ask him a question. I don't make a statement. Right? Will you please write it down? Did you write that down? You see the difference?
And then at the end, after that, you go to the, hey, I will see you at this day, this time, unless you write back first. Right? Do you ever address not texting?
Not generally, because I'm not going to create an objection unless I feel like it's real weak. If it's real weak, like they're like, oh yeah, sure, and you know they're not writing it down, right? They're just like appeasing you, giving you time, right? Then I'll push on them a little bit more, right? Like, hey, listen, do me a favor. You got that written down, right? Okay, please do not reschedule that because I know your time's valuable, my time's very valuable too. Okay, great. Listen, right? So I really don't ever see a need to tell them not to text unless I'm dealing with the one spouse and the generally, right? So I'm talking to spouse A, I'm talking to Doug. Doug wants to talk to Dina. I get Doug to set the appointment by just generally, Doug, what's better for you guys, just generally. So I get the appointment booked. I'm going to tell him not to text because it's shaky, right? He's booked something without talking to her. So there's a realistic possibility that it really may not work for her, right? That's not an objection, that's a condition. She's just not, that time doesn't work. So I'm gonna tell him appropriately how to respond to me. So Doug, listen, I've got you for Saturday at 2. Write that down, talk to Dina. If she can't do that, Doug, I want you to call me back like tonight with a couple of times that would work, okay? Please do not text or email me. Sometimes I don't get them, and I'm gonna show up at your house, and you'll be like, dude, right now, so I don't wanna do that, I don't wanna show up, you're not expecting me. So please call me, okay? And please don't call me and say, hey, it doesn't work. Call me with a couple of times that would work, okay? You good for that? Awesome. If I don't hear from you by tonight, I'll see you Saturday at noon. So I'm gonna tell him specifically what I expect, not just don't text, don't email, don't call me and say it doesn't work, right? Here's what I want you to do. Doesn't mean he's going to do it, but a percentage of the time he's going to do it because he knows what's expected of him. Generally, people want to do what you expect of them. That's a principle of people, right? Generally, most times, people want to do what you expect of them. They want to meet your expectation, right? Everybody following that? Okay, very good. Go ahead.
It's simple, but it gets forgotten a lot, is to get their address, especially with
Absolutely.
new recruits. Because you're so used to reciting exactly word for word, but a script doesn't say, can I get your address? So we hang up because we've got the appointment, like, oh crap, we don't have the address. Or the recruit that we're going to help doesn't have it, and you can't just show up.
Sure.
So then you have to have a confirmation, and the people don't call you. They won't answer their calls.
Yeah. So you always, so if you listen to the appointment setting audio, it's a time, a date, and a place, right? That's an appointment. So without a place, an address, it's really not even an appointment because there's another hurdle to get there. I don't know where you are. I don't know how to get to you, right? So we need to make sure that we get that on the front end. So but that's just teaching your people, and that's sitting with your people and making calls with them instead of just letting them go out on their own, right? Okay. If they got a lot of influence, great. Let them call, right? I got people. Most of the people I recruit, I don't need to sit there and make phone calls with them because they have influence in their markets. They can get us in front of people. But that's not most people. Most people need to be sat there and watch them call because they're not very good, right? Okay? That doesn't mean that they can't be great, but we got to inspect it.
How do you get past them not wanting to do it in front of you?
Oh,
We try
what do you mean
and
not
try.
want? Who's the boss here, Dina? Right?
won't do
Let me
it.
know. Yeah, if you got somebody who's fighting you on you helping them set appointments, you got the wrong guy.
Okay.
Yep. Next. Yep. Next.
You just tell them that right there?
What do you mean?
Close your book.
If they're hesitating and you can't coach them through that, then
To what? Hesitating on what?
point to something right there. where you-
I have a list,
Okay.
right? I'm like, Val, who's this person?
My mom.
Let's call her. Right? I was just doing this with you the other day, right? We got the list, and what am I doing with the list? Andrew, who's this person, right? Now, who do you know really well that, like, for sure they'll see us, right? Okay, let's call them. And what do? We picked up the phone, we started making calls. right? If he's not gonna call, I'd have taken his list and said, all right, I'm gonna call. Hey, I'm sitting here with Andrew. Andrew, say hi.
Okay.
Very good.
And you call
Right,
him
hey,
their phone?
yeah, hey, listen. Andrew's working with me, he just got his finance license, he's doing a little bit of training, and he had mentioned it, and there's a totally different script for that, and that's not where you want to be. You don't want to be having to call this guy. If you got a call for him, I mean, you might as well be calling the phone book, right? Because there's just not much benefit there for him, right? Okay, but I wouldn't get nothing. I'd be like, all right, dude, who's your mom? Great, let's call her right now. I don't want to call my mom. All right, give me the list. Mom, it's Ian. You don't know me, but I'm sitting here with your son, Andrew. Andrew, say hi to Mom. Right, I don't know if Andrew told you this. He's working on getting his finance licenses. He's going to be working part-time with us, and he needs to do a little bit of training. I wanted to call and introduce myself, set up a time where we could come by. I'd be showing you what Andrew be doing with me. If it's something that could help you or somebody you know in the future, I'd love to talk to you enough so you know. I basically just modify that script a little bit and get in front of Mom with Andrew, right? But yeah, if you got a guy that won't call, I mean, that's like step one, right? It's like, let's call people to talk to them, right? Any other questions on this?
How do you modify that script to call for him? Is there a way that if the spouse is the main agent, is there a way we can call for our agents to set an appointment where they're not sitting with us, but they're sitting with our spouse instead?
I'm confused.
So like Neil Gervine did it for Victoria Gervine, like he'd set up the appointment for her to go out and close. Is there something like
I'm
that?
sure, but I don't know. I've never done it. So yeah, I would go to somebody who has done that and ask. Yeah. All right, any other questions on the recap here? Going once, going twice. All right, I'm gonna have a very green hand, I feel, by the end of today.
You want like a little paper towel from the bathroom?
Sure, thank you. Shane, are you looking for an eraser, buddy? I'm sure there's one in my office there somewhere. And I'm sure Brayley has one too. All right, so that's the kitchen table, okay, script. So when you get to the KT, there's gonna be basically two modified versions of this. One is it's your KT. The other one is you're on a KT with your guy, right, okay? A little bit different, okay? So first is form, right? Okay, I immediately identify something in their house that you can identify with and start making a relationship. Hey, I really like those cabinets. I really like whatever. Find something there that you like or that you can identify with, right? And make some talk around that, right? Because people, with all things being equal, want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. People know, like, and trust people that seem to be more like themselves, right? Okay, so it's like personality mirroring, right? Okay, so for family, occupation, recreation, motivation, this should be 3 minutes, right, or less. It can be quickly. You can build rapport quickly, right? Okay, so let's say this is your kitchen table person, okay? So you walk in, you're talking to them, okay, you want to make sure you get where? To the table. Kitchen tables don't go well on couches. You get to the table. Okay, look at Deb's looking at Jeff there. Jeff, are you a couch KTer, buddy?
No.
She's like looked at him with a stare of death, right? Like, yeah. So get to the KT, the kitchen table. That's why it's called a kitchen table, right? You want to be at the kitchen table where they can sit down. So get to the KT. Okay. And then at this point, y'all good? You finding anything or no? Oh my goodness, Logan's got it. Look at that yellow, bro. My goodness. So get to the kitchen table. Okay. And at this point, you can now bridge into the presentation. So I'm sitting down with Jeff and Deb, sat down, I'm talking to them, form, awesome, that's great. You know, what do you guys like doing for fun, blah, 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 blah. Okay, why don't you do more of it? I'm kind of setting up a little bit of back-end recruiting. Say, well, Jeff, Deb, listen, I'm really glad that you guys have me over today to chat with you a little bit about, like I told you on the phone, I've gotten some finance licenses, and I just love to show you a little bit about what I'm doing. And so if you or somebody you know in the future could use what I do, I'd love for you to at least feel comfortable enough you could refer me. So what am I doing? I'm recapping the phone call. They don't remember what you said to them when you called them. So right before he got there, there's like, oh, Ian's coming over. What's it about? I don't know. It was something about money, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. So I'm going to help them remember, right? And recap that. Okay, so I'm going to recap the call, which is why the call and the appointment need to be for the same thing, right? You set a KT and then you start proposing the business to them. There's a mismatch there of what they were told and now what you're telling them. So these things always need to match, right? And then the next is permission. So Jeff, like I told you on the phone, I recently got my finance licensing. I wanted to pop by and show you guys what I was doing so that if you or somebody you guys know in the future could use what I do, you feel comfortable referring me. So I appreciate you having me over. Is it all right if I take just maybe 5 or 10 minutes to share with you a little bit about what I'm doing and how I'm helping people? Permission. I'm looking for a... They already gave me permission. I'm in their house, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask them for permission because I want them to feel like they're in control somewhat of that appointment. I also want a yes. That's my first yes. If I don't ask that question, I just start presenting, I'm down one yes. Right? Okay? So little yes, little yes, little yes, little yes makes it easier for escalating sizes of yeses down the road. You understand? So first yes, I'm going to take an easy one, right? So Deb, is it all right if I just share with you for a couple of minutes about what I'm doing and how it's helping people?
Sure.
Great. Okay. So let's talk about the actual skeletons of the kitchen table. Okay, so 2 jobs. This is basically the flow of this presentation. Okay, so Jeff, Deb, so the company that I work with is a company called Primerica. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Primerica before. Have you ever heard of us? Okay, so right up front, I'm gonna get to know whether they know anything about us or not, right? Most people don't know anything about Primerica. So they're gonna say, no, I've never heard of it. Say, well, that's totally normal. The reason that's normal is because we work by referral, we don't advertise. So the only way you would have heard of us would have been through somebody you know that works with us. Okay, but you've heard of Citigroup, right? Citibank, Citi Mortgage. We were their advisors for 20 years. We recently went public, okay? So here's Primerica, so let's back that up, I guess. So I'd asked them for permission, right? Okay, they said yes. I said, great. So the company that I'm working with, Jeff knows a company called Primerica. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of us. Do you know much about Primerica or not really? Okay, and if it's a yes, I say, great, what do you know? Well, I know it's insurance and investment. I said, oh, great. How have you heard about us before? Well, my cousin did, right? What am I looking for in this? Any concern at all, okay? Most of the time on client sides, you're gonna have people who know nothing about us, or if they do know about us, it's a positive thing, okay? Every once in a while, you get somebody who's like, oh, my brother tried that, blah, blah, blah. If there's any non-positive, I'm gonna address it, because if it's non-positive, it's not correct, okay? Because like I was telling somebody the other day, I've been doing this for 10.5 years, never met anybody who had a legitimate problem with Primerica for any reason that Primerica did not bend over backwards to solve for them, okay? They're wonderful in customer service and making people whole if anything legitimately wrong happens. right? So if they're negative at all, they just got a misconception somewhere. So I need to clear that up before I go any further. I'm not going 20 minutes into a presentation and the whole time they're thinking I would never do business with this guy because of whatever, right? Okay, so I'm making sure that it's at least neutral. So have you ever heard of us? Yes, no, blah, blah, blah. Great, well in Primerica Debt we have 2 jobs. One job, okay, and right here, remember we're using the 1 page from the Company of Destiny brochure. Okay, I will put that up on the TV after our role play break. Okay, so and the reason I'm doing this, and listen, you don't even need this 1 page, y'all. It's so basic, but I use the 1 page because of a very basic concept. People retain more of what they see and hear than what they hear alone. So I'm literally using this page as a dummy page to point to words I'm saying as I go through this, simply so they retain more of what I'm telling them, okay? But this page, it's not essential to you being able to get through the presentation, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run through the whole thing so you see the structure, and then I'm gonna break up the individual pieces into substructures, and then we're gonna role play them in pieces, and then we're gonna put them together. All right, does everybody understand that? All right, so in Primerica Debt, we have 2 jobs. Our first job is we help educate families on how money works. And what we do is we teach them some concepts, Jeff, that help them to do things like get out of debt faster. I'm pointing to the page. Save money on taxes, save money on insurance, help them to free up money to do things like saving for retirement, their kids' college education. Really incredible stuff. And how we do that, guys, is we do that with a tool called an FNA, or a financial needs analysis, pointing to the page, FNA, right? Okay, and the best way to understand the FNA, guys, is basically it's a written plan that shows people where they are, helps them figure out where they want to be, and then gives them a roadmap from how to get from point A to point B more efficiently. Okay, the best way to think about it is kind of like a financial GPS. So guys, think about it like this. If you were gonna take a road trip from Michigan to LA, okay, you'd probably put it in Google Maps before you left, right? Okay, or if you were old school, you take a Rand McNally, but you wouldn't just start driving west, right? Why not? Let them answer, right? Why not? And they're gonna say some form of, well, you get lost, or you probably could get there, but like almost certainly it wouldn't be the fastest way, right? Does that make sense? And so most people, guys, would never dream of leaving their house on a 3-day road trip without first having a road map there, okay? But ironically, most people don't use that same logic when it comes to their finances. They don't have a written plan. They've never really looked. They're just trying to do the best they can with what they have. See how I'm shaking my head, right? Okay. So, Deb, let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys have a written plan that details things like this and strategies to get from A to B? Or are you like most people and you're just really trying to do the best you can with what you have available to you?
Yeah, just trying to do the best we can.
So I'm asking them, do you have a plan, or are you like most people? Okay, so right here is your tie down. Okay, so, you know, Deb, out of curiosity, do you guys have a written plan that details all these things? Or are you kind of like most people where you're just doing the best you can with what you have? Or we're just kind of doing the best we can. Deb, obviously having a plan would be better than not having a plan. You'd agree, right? That's a tie down, right? Having a plan would be better than not having a plan. You could word it like this. If you could have a plan, that would be better than not having a plan, right, Deb? Okay, great. So what I would like to do with you guys is I would like to come back and help you do an FNA, okay? So this is where I'm moving to the FNA commitment, all right? So what I'd like to do, guys, I'd like to come back and I'd like to put an FNA plan together for you, okay? And so let me kind of explain to you a little bit about that process. The average financial planner charges about $1,100 to do a plan that gives you specifics, not spend less and save more. We all know that, right? But do this, do this, do this. We charge a price nobody bickers about. We charge free, okay? So I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna do this for you totally for free. Because it's free, guys, I'm gonna ask you for 2 things in return. So here's your commitments, right? Number 1 is when I come back and I put a plan together, and you can look at me across your kitchen table and you can say, Ian, this was really good. This is absolutely worth doing. Wonderful information. Okay, I'm gonna ask that you would be willing and able to refer me to 5 to 10 people that are married, have kids, have a home, and have an income, you know, that may benefit from some of the same free information that you benefited from, okay? Now, on the flip side, if it's not good, if you're like, Ian, you know what, we already knew all this, you were really pushy, your breath smelled bad, whatever, I won't ask for the referrals. Is that fair?
Yes.
So if you feel great about it, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to refer me to 5 or 10 people. Great. That's tie down 1. So I'm making sure I'm turning 1 person into what? More persons, right? Okay, I don't have anybody to call. It's because you're not doing this, right? You get 1 F&A, that's 5 to 10 more people, right? It's a self-fulfilling circle, okay? So that's commitment number 1. So you see how I did that? I framed it for them. I set expectations, who I want, how many I want, and what the parameters for earning those referrals are. If you can look at me and say, yeah, this is really good. This is definitely great information. I benefit a lot, right? Okay, then I'm gonna ask for this. If it's not better, you're off the hook. Is that fair? Yes. Okay, Deb, the second thing I'm gonna ask is that when I come back and I put together a plan for you that does help you get out of debt faster, it does help you save money on insurance, it does help you save more, or at least more efficiently, okay, for your future than you're saving now, and it costs you the same or less per month than you're paying now to do these things, I'm gonna ask that you would move forward with the improvements that I found for you, okay? And if there's not improvements, if you're like, you know what, it's more expensive, it doesn't make any sense, I'm not gonna ask you to move forward. Is that fair? Okay, great. So when I have a plan that's gonna help you do these things, you can see it clearly, you're not gonna have any problem, obviously, taking that advice and improving your financial situation, right? Great. So I'm tying them down to what? Referrals and moving forward. If you don't tie down, you're gonna go on a lot of F&As, you're gonna give people a lot of information, and they're gonna do nothing with the information, right? You must tie them down. The sale is made there. Sales is a commitment business. The sale was made right here. It's going to be, it's going to happen physically when I'm back with them, or potentially in a few minutes, right? Okay, on the insurance side of things, but it happened right there in the commitment. So let me go through those commitments. Like I said, with Val, I said Val, so the average financial planner charges about $1,100, blah, blah, blah. Listen, we do it for a price nobody bickers about. We do it for free. Because we do it for free, Val, I'm gonna ask you for 2 things in return. When I come back and I put together a plan for you that does help you do all those things we talked about, and you can look at me across your kitchen table and you say, Ian, this was really good. I'm glad we did this, great information. I'm gonna ask Val that you would be willing and able to refer me to 5 to 10 people that are married, have kids, have a home, and have an income that may benefit from some of the same free information. Now, if when I come back, you're like, Ian, you know what, I already knew all this, you're really pushy, whatever, right? I'm not gonna ask for referrals. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, great. The second thing I'm gonna ask from you, Val, is when I come back and I put a plan together, it does help you get out of debt faster. It does better protect your family. It does help you save more, or at least more efficiently than you're saving now, okay? And it costs you the same or less per month than you're currently paying to do these things. Now, I'm gonna ask that you would move forward with the recommendations that I'm making to you. Now, when I come back, it's not better, it's not an improvement, it's more expensive, doesn't make any sense, I'm not gonna ask you to do anything with this. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Great. So I get the commitments, right? Now what I do is I set the time. So Val, what I wanna do with you real quick is let's go ahead and set a time to get back together next week to go through this, okay? It's gonna take about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, okay? And I'm gonna tell you exactly what we're gonna need in just a minute, okay? But let's grab our calendar real quick and let's get that set. So I'm gonna book the F&A. Okay? I'm gonna book the F&A. So I booked the F&A, and I'm saying, Rick, so listen, here's what I'm gonna need for you to get for us next time, okay? It's actually really simple, so don't be stressed out, because sometimes if you start giving people a huge laundry list, they're gonna freak out and say, oh, I need 2 months to compile this. They know 90% of this information off the top of their head, right? Because they see it all the time. So I'm gonna tell them, so here's what I'm gonna need. I'm gonna need statements for your debt, mortgage, cars, student loans, anything like that, credit cards, okay? I'm gonna need statements for savings and investment plans, 401ks, IRAs, and then I'm gonna need insurance policies, so like life insurance, auto and home insurance, those sorts of things, okay? Right, and so we'll compile those between now and then. If you can't find something, Rick, no problem. We'll work around it. You probably know most of the necessary information. Absolute worst case, we can make it a couple of minute call and get it, okay? So you've got written down what you need, right? Okay, real quick, what I'd like to grab from you tonight is a little bit of information on 2 things, okay? And the reason I want them tonight is that way I can see them, I can get to work a little bit doing some research, and when I come back, I've got some ideas that I can present to you. So the first thing that I'm gonna wanna take a look at, Rick, is your statements for any old IRAs, old 401ks, anything like that. Do you guys have anything like that, Rick?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, great. Is it current employer or from a previous employer?
Previous job.
Okay, great. And so I'm gonna wanna grab that statement from you, so we'll get that tonight before I leave. Okay, why am I doing this? If there's rollover money there, I wanna get the statement so that I can start working on it and I know what I'm coming back into next time, right? Okay, what if you're not securities licensed? What do?
Take to your rep.
Get the statement and bring it into somebody in the office and take them with you, right? Take them with you, okay? So I'm gonna get the statement, and I would say the other thing I wanna take a look at really quickly tonight, Rick, is what you guys have for your life insurance. Okay, so you guys, you obviously have life insurance, right?
No.
See how I phrase that? You obviously have life insurance, right? So the 40% of the time you meet people, married kids, have no insurance, immediately they're like, no, right? As soon as they have any remorse about the fact that they are leaving their family unprotected, sale's done. Sale's done. So I framed it by how I asked the question. So the other thing I want to talk to you about tonight, Rick, is your life insurance. So obviously you guys have life insurance, right?
Nope.
Really? No life insurance?
No.
Wow, okay. Right, and so right here, I'm gonna direct you to a resource because we don't have time to do it today. Maybe another future time we will. On Primerica Online, under training, okay, it's probably now under life insurance. It's not on the home page anymore. I have a company made our process on what happens from that moment forward on a KT, right? Because at this point, right, obviously you guys have life insurance, you're gonna get one of 5 answers. No, I don't, right? And they are married with kids, okay? No, I don't, and they are not married or don't have kids, so somehow you're having this conversation with somebody out of market. I have work life insurance. I have some sort of cash value life insurance. I have other term insurance. Those are the only 5 things you're ever gonna hear at that point, right? And so on Primerica Online, there is a 1-hour video of exactly how to handle any of those 5 scenarios. So once you get to this point, you just link whatever answer you got to the piece of that presentation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
I have transcribed the book.
You have transcribed it.
I paid for it.
Who has it? You have it. How do we get it to everybody?
Okay.
Find a way to do it, obviously I would like to get paid at least a little bit.
Well, Doug's, he's got one for free, he said.
Yeah, he just spent a lot of time on
And then
it.
he's more than ahead.
Okay, so
What are we doing the
this
video?
this resource is available to you on video, to watch, and to listen to. The SoundCloud is on audio. If you have somebody that's transcribed it and they want to give it to you, great. If they want to make you buy them Tim Hortons, great.
As developer.
Figure it out. But either way, get it. I don't care how you get it, but just get it, okay? So you understand? So if that's how you get to the life sale on the KT. There's a couple of things I want to look at today with you, or want to grab today. The first is your investments. Do you have anything like that? Great. The second is I want to take a look really quickly at what you have for your life insurance. Mike, obviously you have life insurance, right? And then they're going to have one of 5 answers which corresponds to a mini presentation and a close. You understand? Okay. So at this point, one of 2 things is going to happen. You're going to close the life sale, or you're not going to close the life sale. Okay? That's going to be 8-2, right? 8 out of 10 times you're going to get it. 2 out of 10 times you're not going to get it. The 2 out of the 10 times, I'm very hesitant to go back and do the F&A for them. Because if it's clearly in their best interest today, it's still going to be in their best interest then. But if they're not willing to take action today, it's unlikely they'll be willing to take action then. Nothing changes between now and then, right? So this allows you to avoid being back on F&As with people who are not going to move forward with you. Okay? So the 2 out of 10, by the way, they're virtually always engineers. Okay? They just won't make a decision no matter what's presented to them. So if you get to that point and you feel like there's a good opportunity here, but this person's just not moving forward, what do you go back and do again? Like super hard. Andrew, listen. I respect you not wanting to move forward right now on this, okay? However, when we get back together, I am going to ask you to move forward on that, okay? So there's really not a purpose in us getting back together if at that point you wouldn't be ready to move forward. So when I come back and I do this, I'm going to ask you to move forward on that, and also other things that make sense. I want to make sure we're clear and we're just not going to waste each other's time or get frustrated. When I come back and we put this all together, you will move forward on the things that are clearly in your best interest. That's correct?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to hold you to that, okay, because I'm going to do a great job for you, but it doesn't help you if you don't take the advice, right? Okay, so that's what I do on the 2 out of 10. 8 out of 10, you're going to close the app right then. So remember, you've already scheduled the F&A, right? You've closed the app. So now we're going to go and we're going to set up for the recruit. So I've got the F&A set for next Wednesday. I just did Val's life insurance. And I say, Val, we got it set for next Wednesday. The last thing I want to mention to you just very briefly, remember at the beginning I said we had 2 jobs, right? That was our first job. Our second job is we recruit people on a part-time basis to make extra money, help people they know. I would be remiss to not at least ask you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, Val, 1 being I hate helping people, I also hate making money. This would not be for me. 10 being if I could make a few thousand a month on the side with this, I'd be interested in learning more. Based on what you've seen so far, Val, where do you put yourself initially on that scale? I just ask for a number, right? And if they're like 8, 9, 10, say, well, Andrew, what do you like most about what you've seen? I'm gonna get them to start selling themselves. If they're like 5, 6, 7, say, great, Val, I want you to write down a few questions that you might have, and we'll circle back to that next time. If they're like 3, 4, 5, I say, hey, great, no worries. We definitely will talk about that next time, but I do want you to think of some people that might be interested in something like that. You see? Right? So now I've set up to recruit them. If they're like a 10, I might try to recruit them right then. Right? I might try to recruit them right then, but they got to be like a 9, 10. Which one? Yeah. So Rakia, listen, I'd be remiss to not at least ask you this, but on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I hate helping people, I also hate making money, this would not be for me. Okay, so I'm giving them like very polarizing statements here, right? Okay, 10 being if I could make a few grand a month doing this on the side, I'd be interested. Where do you put yourself based on what you've seen so far? Everybody following that? Okay. So they're gonna tell me if it's high, I'm gonna ask them, what do you like? And I'm gonna see, hey, maybe I can get this thing moving right now, right? If they're medium high, I say, write down your questions, we'll circle back around. If they're real low, I say, hey, thank you so much for being honest with me. I definitely am not interested in trying to get you involved in something you wouldn't be interested in. Think about some people for me that you might know. Remember, every dud knows a stud. So you better find that stud, right? Better find that stud. Don't go there and just sell to them. Go there and find somebody, right? Okay, any questions? All right, so we're gonna break this up into its component pieces. Starting with recap the call, ask permission, Primerica. So I'm gonna role play this here with you, and then we're gonna split up into twos, and what we're gonna do is you're gonna give the first part of this to each other 3 times. Your job is to listen intently and to critique, okay? Listen intently and to critique the other person and help them get better at this, right? So I'm sitting here with Jeff, right? So I formed Jeff. And so I'm gonna say, so I'm sitting at the kitchen table, I'll say, so Jeff, listen, I really appreciate you guys spending a little time to get together. Like I told you on the phone, right, I've gotten my finance licensing, and I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about what I was doing. If you or somebody you know in the future could use what what I'm doing, that you'd feel comfortable enough referring me. So I really do appreciate you taking a little bit of time. And so Jeff, Deb, I'd like to just take 5 or 10 minutes and share with you a little bit about what it is I'm doing. Is that okay with you? Great. So the company that I'm working with is a company called Primerica. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of us before. What do you know about Primerica? Much, not much?
Not much.
That's our first point, right? So, not much. Well, that's totally normal. Okay, we work solely by referral. We don't do any advertisement. So it's unlikely you would have heard of us unless you knew somebody working with us. But I'm sure you've heard of a company called Citigroup. Okay, Citibank, Citi Mortgage, Citi Financial, Citi Card, you've heard of these guys, right? So we were Citi's advisors for 20 years, and in 2010 we actually broke off and went public, okay? So, not much. If they say, oh yeah, I know a little bit, great, what have you heard about us? Great, how did you hear that? Who did you talk? Right, so I just wanna know a little bit, and I'm gonna gauge where that came from. So let me do that again, and then we're gonna put you together, and you're gonna get nice and smoothly into the presentation, right? We're not gonna crash land on their kitchen table. We're gonna get nicely into it. So Rick, listen, I appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time. Like I told you when I called you the other day, I've gotten some finance licensing. I just wanted to pop by and show you and Andrew what I was doing so that if you knew somebody that could benefit, or even yourself, that you feel comfortable referring me. So I do appreciate you taking a little bit of time. And I'd love to just share with you guys for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, so a little bit about what I'm doing and how it's helping people. You guys okay with that? Awesome, great. So the company that I'm working with, guys, a company called Primerica. Okay, I don't know if you've ever heard of Primerica, if you know much about us, not much.
Actually, I've heard of you guys before.
Oh, great, awesome. So what do you know about what we do?
You guys used to be part of Citibank?
Okay,
Umbrella
yep.
company or something like that?
Yeah, a long time ago, yep. Yeah, for 20 years we were Citi's advisors. We've broken off. Okay, so you do know a little bit about us. That's great.
Actually, had some old guy try to recruit me a long time ago.
Oh man, that's awesome. Did you get involved?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not for everybody. We maybe talk about that a little bit more, but that's great. So Seems neutral. Let's move on. Right? Okay. So, recap the call. I just let us share for 5 or 10 minutes. Is that all right with you guys? Right? The company I'm working with is a company called Primerica. I don't know if you've ever heard of us. Do you know much about what we do or not really? Not really? Great. Well, that's totally normal, okay, because we work by referral. We don't advertise, so the only way you would have probably heard of us is if you knew somebody that worked with us. But I'm sure you've heard of a company called Citigroup, maybe Citibank, Citi Mortgage, Citi Financial. For 20 years, we were Citi's advisors. We broke off and went public. If they have heard us, great. What do you know about what we do? Awesome. Now, how did you hear about us? Great. Okay, perfect. Wonderful. And then I'm into the body of the presentation. So pair up with the person next to you, and you're going to give this to each other 3 times. Listen, don't do too much objecting to them. My goal here is not that you get great at, oh, somebody tried to recruit me, because that's rare. That's like 1 out of 30 times you're going to get somebody that's got, has had an experience with an overzealous person or something, right? So my goal here is that you get the transitory language and that it flows and it's natural, so you can get into the presentation. So go ahead and pair up 3 times each. One, back and forth, so you can learn from each other. Okay, go.